it's Megan with 10,000 Swords, and I am back today to talk to you guys about, of course, what my email topic was for this week, and it was about compulsive thoughts or obsessive thoughts. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I tend to talk a lot about things that I've experienced, and this is definitely a huge part of my journey with anxiety. So back when everything started, which was of course back in like third grade for me, when I started having major anxiety, it always was accompanied by a lot of thoughts that I couldn't get out of my head, which would of course feed my anxiety and make it so much worse, because when the thing that you're most afraid of is the thing that you can't stop thinking about, it feeds itself, okay? So you try not to be afraid and you try not to think about it, which just makes you think about it more. So when we're talking about OCD and how that goes along with anxiety, I think a lot of times we don't think about those being one and the same for a lot of people. For me, my thoughts would, it's really hard to be able to stop your thoughts. And that's really why I encourage everybody with anxiety or any kind of mental health issue to really take time and figure out how to, if not meditate, then at least practice mindfulness. And those two things are different. But to be able to take time just to figure out how to dump your brain, which is really important. And it does take practice, because one of the things when we talk about obsessive thoughts and anxiety and how those go hand in hand is that the more we try to stop thinking about something, or the more attention we give that scary thought, the bigger it gets. So even if we're saying, well, that's probably not true because I've thought about it, and when I think about it, it makes me go down this spiral of thinking about all these other things. What we're actually doing is giving attention and giving life and giving breath to that scary thought, which is exactly what we don't want to do. So can you see how that cycles around? So the best thing you can do if you are struggling with anxiety, or if your teenager is struggling with anxiety, and what comes with it is those obsessive or those compulsive, scary thoughts that just make their anxiety worse, is to acknowledge it and just to say, yeah, this is what I'm thinking, and it's a thought that I don't want to have, and then entertain it for 2 minutes, give it its time, and say, yep, that's what I think. And then whatever it was that you were doing before that thought started, whether you were, washing dishes or doing laundry or working on homework or whatever it was, go back to what it was before, because you need to say, yes, that's what I thought, and now I'm done for now. And is that thought going to come back? Yes, probably. And we do the exact same thing, and we say, oh, there's that thought again. It's not welcome. I don't want it. Now I thought about it, and now I'm done, and I'm going back to where I was. And this is a practice that it takes time to be able to do that. And I won't tell you that it's easy, and I won't tell you that it's going to happen the first time you do it, because it won't. But it can happen, and it can get better. Another thing that I really want to bring up with this, and this is something that it may have kept me alive, honestly, was that I would call for reassurance. So anytime I had a scary thought, anytime I had an anxiety attack, or where I would have that thought spiral where I couldn't stop thinking something scary and it just got worse and worse and worse, I would call someone else for reassurance. And I will admit that this is still my gut instinct, is reassurance. Ask somebody else if you're crazy, even though you know you already are, or you're not crazy, but your thought is crazy. Ask somebody to prove you right. Well, again, you're feeding it. You're feeding that thought. You're feeding that scary thing that you don't want to think about. And then you're going to start to rely on that reassurance. And that is definitely kind of an addiction issue, where if you're addicted to having somebody else tell you that your thought is irrational, or, you're being silly, not only are you kind of downplaying your self-control and your mental ability to do this on your own, because you can, but you're relying on someone else to validate something that in your gut you already know is true. All right. So, for example, when I was really, really struggling with anxiety, mine were all based around health issues. So I would replay every symptom, every scenario, every possible thing. And I'm to the point now where, yes, I still experience that from time to time. And I can say, okay, that's ridiculous. And am I scared about it? You bet I am. Do I think it's true? No. Does it still scare me? Yes. And I'll say, how crazy am I? And people will be like, yeah, that's crazy. And then I'll be like, yeah, I know. Whereas before, I would have to really, like, seriously, I would call my dad or my mom and say, this is how I feel. This is what I think. What's the likelihood that you think this? What's that? What's that? And do I still do this? Sometimes, because I told you guys, it's kind of I hate to call it an addiction because it's a weird thing to be addicted to, but that reassurance, I am working on myself and the fact that I don't call them every time I'm anxious. I don't feed it the way I used to. I don't entertain that thought as much because I'm learning how to really practice that mindfulness. Say, here I am now. I am alive now. I've always been wrong in the past about this. So this is really just one of those other anxious moments where your brain gets carried away, the little caveman in your head takes over, and how to talk backwards. So guys, this is what I do. This is what I teach in my digital course, The Path to Panic Free. This is what I work with my coaching clients with, and what I really want to be able to help people with. If I'm going to live for almost 45 years now with a crazy amount of anxiety, there has to be a reason. And I really think that reason is so that I can help other people not be ready to turn 45 and have to go as long as I have, okay? So if you have questions, I hope that you will leave them in the comments. You can also message me. You can email me at 10,000swordscoaching@gmail.com. And I promise to get back with you because nobody should be stuck in this because you can totally do it. All right? You guys take care. Have a great day, and I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.